calling myself out for all of us. A full week in a negative brain spiral. This time of year, I call the pressure cooker of dirty diapers. It's when the dopamine is worn off from the New Year's high and doing all the things is in full force. Everything feels like it's spinning, it's all too much, and it makes me want to quit and run away to the Italian countryside. In all honesty, I set myself up for this mental shitstorm without realizing it. You likely have too, which is why I'm sharing this story. It started the second week of December, where I dreamed up a list of all the things I wanted to get done during the holidays and that down period between Christmas and New Year's. Clean out all my closets, donate to charity, review and approve all my emails and sales page for my big launch in 2023, write a chunk of my book, start Pilates again, review every page of my website and provide edits to my team. To write these down made me feel empowered, like I really have it together. Insert dopamine high. Then when the time came to do the things, I felt so overwhelmed it was paralyzing. Where do I even begin? It felt like so much and none of it felt fun. Insert procrastination. As each day passed that I didn't cross off any one of these things, I started to beat myself up for being lazy, unmotivated, and not wanting to do these things that would only benefit me and other people. Then, in an attempt to get some relief, I told myself I'd do these things in January. Well, nothing changed. I then started to beat myself even more to the point that it ignited my depression and anxiety disorders. And it wasn't until day 5 of feeling like crap that I caught myself. Since when does being so hard on ourselves and beating ourselves up constantly make anything better? Yet most of us do this on autopilot. And here, after all these years of therapy, inner work, coaching, on and on and on, I still get sucked into it. When I shared about this on Instagram, the response was insane. This is clearly a widespread issue that needs to be discussed. Listen and let's shift out of this. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and I'm speaking in the third person because I've officially lost it. Whew. This is one of those episodes which feels extra vulnerable for me to do because I am up against it. I am definitely working through some heavy stuff. I did not expect to be in this mental spot already in 2023. Not a fan. And like I said, when I started at the top of the show, I set myself up for this without realizing it. And it's so important that I share with you in real time this episode and call myself out, and not in a way to beat myself up or make myself feel guilty, but so that you can recognize it in yourself and hopefully catch yourself in doing it. Maybe you're in it right now. I mean, we put so much on our plate, stack so many things that we have to do, have all these big grand dreams, and then we have all these goals that we all want to do all at once, all in this time period. And it's all of our circuits, our circuits get crossed and overstimulated. And then when that happens, you're going to have a come down from it. You're going to end up feeling low and even almost paralyzed when we're doing that. And I love that dopamine high of when you're I'm going to do this, and the dreaming and the creativity and the fantasy channel part of it. And yes, 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 yes. And that's so easy to do that because it doesn't require any work. It requires pinning some shit on Pinterest, maybe doing creative brainstorming with your team or with a business friend. It doesn't require the actual nitty-gritty, unsexy, tedious adulting work to actually have the thing come to fruition. I mean, how many of you have had great ideas for inventions or projects or products and programs, but they haven't come to life, or even a book and it hasn't come to life? And it's not because you're not capable, and it's not because you don't have great ideas and you don't have something unique and interesting to offer. It's simply because you've not done and aren't doing the execution part, which is the part that most people don't want to do because it's not fun. That's really the only thing that sets up people who have for success versus people that don't. But I want you to hear in real time, as a highly successful person, I can set myself up too and not even realize it. And that's what I did. Well, I want to read you something that I know will be really helpful. Relax inside. Meditation does not have to be hard labor. Just allow your mind and your body to rest like an animal in the forest. Don't struggle. There's no need to attain anything. I'm writing a book, yet I am not struggling. That's from, I can't say his name, so I'm not even going to try. It's not mine, and I don't have it in me to even do it, to even try it. I'm going to keep reading, but the relaxing inside, it's not like, oh, just don't stop overthinking it. It's like, don't tell an overthinker that. That's like telling a pissed off woman to calm down. That's never a good plan. Like, that needs to be on page 1 of the book of how to communicate with women. But relaxing inside, like, it doesn't have to be so hard. We make things much harder than they need to be. And we do this without realizing it because we have this subconscious programming that we've inherited from generations, that we get mirrored to us from corporate America, from propaganda, from the media, from even people around us in our families or friend groups, that there's like some sort of like sexiness or bragging rights about who's more exhausted, who's more productive, it being hard, the struggle. To have the success, you've got to do all the things. To be a great parent, it's got to be so hard juggling everything. Like, well, how about the fact that we can let it be easy and it doesn't have to be so hard? Even just starting there is a nice point. Life does not need to be a struggle. Yes, there are busy times and slow times in all of our jobs, deadlines and timeframes, budgets and schedules. But when we struggle, we burn up all of the energy in the fight and have nothing left to give to the project. How much better is it to relax, to work on the project and let go of the deadline? The project will be done when it's done, and we will most likely finish it much faster if we focus on the project and not the deadline. Seriously, you needed to hear that. Are you spending valuable energy fighting and struggling with yourself? How will I get this done? What if it's wrong? What if? Relax. The answers will take care of themselves. Just concentrate on the task at hand, calmly, easily, smiling. The Buddhists have a saying, if you are finished with your rice, then wash your bowl. The beauty of life is relaxing and being aware of the task at hand. Relax. Enjoy the work you're doing today. God, help me give up resistance and learn to relax. Okay? I mean, that even calmed my nervous system down hearing it. We get ourselves all ramped up. And I've used this analogy in another episode before, but I feel it needs to be heard again. It's like if you have a car and the tire is stuck in mud, and our inclination, most of us, is to gas it, put on a ton of gas, really push and force our way out of being stuck. Especially I see this a lot with highly ambitious people. I do it too. Who wants to feel this way? It feels like shit. Of course it does. No one wants to feel this way. So we want to do something to get ourselves out of it, shame ourselves into getting out of it, guilt ourselves into getting out of it, really be like a hardcore boot camp instructor. Keep going, charge ahead. And what happens when you do this with a car is you end up digging a deeper hole and get further and further stuck. You don't get out of it. There's two things that will get you out of it with this car analogy. One, asking for help, hiring help, having a tow truck come or a friend come who has the right equipment and capability to help pull you out of that spot. And the second thing is doing it gently, just a little at a time. Another great analogy, and I know all of the female listeners, you will know this. The pain of your necklace being knotted. You go on a trip, and even though you packed it in its own bag and thought you were doing a really responsible thing, you go to pull out the necklace and it's somehow in some crazy knot to where you have to have an ungodly amount of patience and skill to unknot this thing, to the point where I know many of you like me have just said, screw it. What helps you unknot a necklace? Not you being frantic, not you forcing it. There's not trying to cut a corner, not trying to, let me see if I can rub it together. I've even gone as far as putting Vaseline on my hands and seeing if that worked. No, what works is going really slow, really patient, one little part at a time untangles the mess. We want to use this as it applies to our brains and our lives. If you're spun out right now, if you're stuck, if you're overwhelmed, let's go back to the task at hand. I want you to take everything off. You can rearrange your entire fucking list. Most of the things don't matter and don't need to be on there. Ask yourself, how important is this really? How important is it that the guest room of my other house, that gets unpacked and looks pretty when there are no guests coming? I would say that's probably not high on the list. How high on the list is it for me to pack away the doggy Christmas sweaters and some other random shit so that it's not on the dining room table? Do I like seeing it there? Not really. But is that also high on the list of importance of changing my life or of paying my bills? No. So start taking all these are the nice to haves. This is the extra toppings. If it's there, that's amazing, but it's not that important. What are the things that are going to give you the most in return? That's what gets to go on the top. So income generating activities, joy, the feeling of support and connection and love, the feeling of vibrancy, energy, and health, things that give you back more time. Okay, those can go near the top of the list. And then the other things at the top of the list are those that have the most consequences, those that have the highest cost factor, as I like to say. So many people just focus on, okay, income generating, or what's going to give me the most right now, what's going to make me feel the best right now. And I'm not saying that's not important. That's why I want those on your list too. But sometimes there's things that you need to do that are even more important, that have a high cost factor in the long run. So for example, you cobbling together another offer or trying to figure out how to scale your business so that it's not just totally dependent on you and you free up more of your time so that you actually have true wealth and true freedom, and you're not trying to do this all on your own and rinse and repeat, and you really aren't loving it and you're not really sure how to get there. You have an idea, you've done some stuff before, but you're not really 100% sure, and it's not been customized to you, your personality, your lifestyle, and your business. And certainly your business is not set up to enhance your life. In fact, it does feel draining to you and you don't want that anymore. Well, the cost factor of you not having someone who's highly qualified show you how to do this is high, because you're going to continue doing it on your own, wasting more time and energy, the frustration of it not working. And then in all of that lost time, you've lost all the sales that you could have been making and all the customers you would have had and all the people you've helped, and then the referrals from those people and the testimonials from those people and all the things that grow your business. This is exactly why I've opened my winter applications for my 2-month private business coaching program. These aren't going to be open much longer. This is the last time I am taking private clients for quite some time, as I'm going to be focused on something high on my priority list, which is my book and a couple other really exciting high-level projects. I only take a maximum of 6 private clients at a time, so it's by application only. Swipe up. The link is in the show notes. And if you're looking for more of a group community experience, the link to my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership is also inside the show notes as well. And that is definitely poppin'. But I will say this, if you've already done a lot of group stuff, or if you want to just cut through all the noise and go right for the Holy Grail, and you're ready to do what it takes, you're ready to truly invest time, energy, and money, and to have this damn thing set up properly so that you have a system in place to attract ideal clients consistently on repeat, have offer stacking, have recurring revenue, all the things that I teach, then stop messing around. And while that might have seemed like a self-serving example, it's a real example of how that cost factor is there. So let me give you a different example. Let's use my book. How did my book become at the top of my list when that was really not at the top of my list before? And it's not like a book, just PS. A book is not a major revenue generator unless you're like a celebrity and they've given you a fortune for it. So it's more of a lead generator, but like, I'm not looking at my book like that. Like, I'm not writing it with an agenda of growing an audience or making cash. Those are usually the shittiest books, by the way. Those are the ones that you buy and you're like, all they are filled with like messaging of getting you to go somewhere else. And it's lame. I'm not into it. This needs to be done because the cost of continuing to put it off does not feel good to my body. It doesn't feel good to my self-esteem. The regret cost factor is too high, and I just feel so strongly pulled, and it is so fucking needed. And there's no other book out there that's going to be like this, and it just has to be done. So there's a cost factor involved in that. What's the cost factor of you continuing to not prioritize your health? That is a really big cost factor, right? That's the law of diminishing returns. That's not cute. So those are the things that go at the top of your list. And then we have to give ourselves self-compassion. Self-compassion is the best antidote to us beating ourselves up. Giving ourselves some grace, letting ourselves off the hook. And this is not something that most people do easily. It is not natural for me to let myself off the hook because I'm afraid if I let myself off the hook, if I take my foot off the gas, if I take that pressure off, then I'll end up not doing anything and I'll lose everything I have, or I'll make no forward momentum because I'll just end up being like a lazy pile of shit. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that way. And it's just not true. I just want you to experiment, even if you just experiment for this week only. I want you to experiment for 1 week of motivating yourself through ease and gentleness and grace and self-compassion. And if you can only do it 1 day at a time, that's okay too, because it's going to feel so foreign to so many of you. Listen, I'm an OG gym rat. I mean, Anna recovering. I'm always recovering from exercise addiction. It's like I was in the hole, no pain, no gain, 2-a-days, 3-a-days is even better, all that stuff. And you want to know what's interesting? I work out significantly less. I'm talking like, I don't know, 70% less than I did before. And I motivate myself out of nurturing gentleness and love and ease. And my body in many ways looks better as long as I am not deep in the ice cream addiction. As long as I've got the ice cream part under control, like I feel lighter, I feel leaner, I feel more flexible. But I had to practice that one day at a time. And I feel like you need to do that when it comes to things with your business, tasks around the house, all of this stuff. Just take a load off. The next thing, just like that quote said, right? You finished your rice, now you wash the bowl. Instead, what we do, if you're wired crazy like me, is you're eating the rice, you're thinking of all the things that you didn't fucking get done that day, and you're pissed off you didn't get done, and now you have more you have to do tomorrow. And is there anything you can do before you go to bed, but you're really too tired to do it, and you really don't want to do it, and now you're irritated. So now you're not even present when you're eating the rice, and then you're beating yourself up for eating the rice because it's a carb, and I shouldn't eat carbs at night, and blah, blah, blah. And now you're done with the rice, and now you have to wash the bowl, but you're not even thinking about the bowl. You're thinking about having to do something else 5 steps ahead. And that just gets even me saying that, can you feel how your nervous system gets going, right? It's like, it's really stoking that nervous system. And it can feel like you're being energized, which some of you might like that feeling. It's called negative excitement, right? It's a false sense of feeling like I have energy, I'm alive, I'm sparked. When energy goes along the lines of motivation, so maybe I'm motivated, which is why I believe we keep doing this to ourselves, because it does kind of seem like, well, I'm energized and this is working and I'm motivating, and it works, but at what cost? You trying to figure all your business shit out on your own and scale it on your own and do all this crap on your own and figure out how to make content that actually makes you money instead of just getting people who, you know, are content vampires. It's like, that comes with a cost. You're wasting all of this energy and time and spinning your wheels, and it might make you feel like you're doing something because you are actually doing something, but how far ahead are you getting? It's like being in a car with the engine on, but you're in park. So you're burning gas, you're not going anywhere, and then you're pissed off that you're not at your destination. It's insane. And that's what we're doing. That was the point of that reading I gave you. One small step at a time, and give ourselves grace and trust the fact that on any given day, we can only do our best, and our best is more than enough. And if we were supposed to do more, if we were supposed to be more, if we were supposed to achieve more, accomplish more, if we were supposed to act better, act differently, look differently, be more put together, have our shit together, whatever it is on any given day, if we were supposed to be in a different state, we would be, because we're not in control. We're just not. We want to think we are. We can only control what we can control, what we put in our mouth. We can, for the most part, not always, control what we think, what we say, what comes out of our mouths. But our energy, I mean, it's so complex. We can only do the best we can. And can you give yourself a moment for that and that be enough? And trust that it's enough. I promise you, I am not a type A person. I'm really not. I really more classify myself as a type Z, which I always joke. You want to hire a lazy business coach because we know the workaround and the easiest way to succeed at anything. That is straight up facts. But I'm not that person that's wired and always going and doing da-da-da-da-da. I don't want to be like that. I'm not into it. It's not my jam. I promise you that 70% of the time, I don't feel like doing anything. It's not like I'm sitting here as a productivity machine on this side. And that's what's required in order to have the success and the impact and the growth. That's not true. That's what your nervous system is wanting to believe because of subconscious programming, that in order to achieve great wealth, great notoriety, great respect, great impact, big audience, all this stuff, that it's got to be hard, that you've got to sacrifice something, that you've got to drain yourself, that you've got to do more, you've got to be more, you've got to push more, you've got to be more high vibe, you've got to be more energized, you have to be more productive, more focused, less distracted, procrastinate less. How about that? It's available to you just as you are right now. As long as in integrity, you're doing the best that you can on any given day, and let that be enough. So experiment for this week, motivating yourself as you would a child who's struggling with math in school, who's genuinely struggling and really trying hard and struggling and getting tired and getting frustrated. How would you talk to that kid? Would you be like, you've got to do your multiplication tables or you can't have dessert? I mean, unless you were raised in my house, I hope you're not doing that with any children. You know, how would you talk to yourself? I know how hard it is. I know you're tired. And is there one or two things that you can get done today? And then see how you feel after you do those one or two things. And if you're tired, it's okay. You can rest. And I understand you're nervous because these things are going to pile up and you just don't have it in you. I promise you they will get done, because when you do have the energy and when you are in a high productive mode, you do get a lot done. And right now you're just not, because we can't always be in that state. There is no animal or human being that is always in this constant, high productive, focused superstar state. There is no athlete. There is no famous music artist. There is nobody. I do not know one person. The best talents in the world take a lot of downtime off, a lot of rest. Top athletes take a lot of rest. Top actors take a lot of rest. Top entrepreneurs take a lot of rest and reprieve. So why should you be any different? Just because you might not be at that level of monetarily yet, or whatever you feel that level of success is yet, because you have to earn the right to take a rest and you've got to pay your dues and you've got to work your way to the top, and all this propaganda we were taught from corporate America. Bullshit. Yeah, you've got to show up and do your part, but show up as the best you can on any given day and trust that it's more than enough. I want you to report back. I want you to DM me on Instagram. I want you to share this episode with a friend who's going through it and is with someone who is a wonderful person who's extra hard on themselves. Share this episode. Leave a 5-star review on Apple, on Spotify. This is what helps the show continue to grow. So if you're getting a lot out of the show, the only thing I ask in return is for a damn 5-star review. I really believe you have 30 seconds to do that right now. It would really mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you in advance. Go ahead and do it. And I love to read them. We read each and every one. But come over, DM me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok now. Need some support over there. So you can go find me on the talk and on the gram. I love you so much. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.